Master the business of speaking with your hosts, Taylor, Austin, and Max. You're listening to Technically Speaking.
Welcome to another episode of Technically Speaking. We are super excited about today's guest, speaker coach, author, and marketing expert, David Newman. So David Newman, CSP, is a member of the NSA $1 Million Speakers Group, one of the big reasons why we wanted to have him on the show here today. He's the author of the business bestsellers Do It Marketing and Do It Speaking, 77 instant action ideas to market, monetize, and maximize your expertise. He's the host of The Speaking Show, in iTunes top 50 marketing podcast, and even the #1 highest rated podcast on the business of speaking. David is also the creator of the Expert Profit Formula mentoring program and the Do It MBA Marketing Business Accelerator. Least to say, David, you are very well decorated, and welcome to the show. We are so glad that you're here.
Thank you, Taylor. It's great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that triggered this conversation is kind of your philosophy around marketing and selling as a thought leader, building your business, and really everything that you coach speakers and thought leaders how to do. And one of the emails we got recently, it was titled, 3 Reasons You're Not Getting the Fees You Deserve. And this stood out to me because, one, to narrow it down to 3 is a big step. But after reading these 3, it basically summarized everything that we see when we're talking to speakers and thought leaders. And basically it reads like this. Are you on the list of the cool kids coming to the high fee VIP? And then it says, in the era of COVID, which you are right now, here's what your biggest fee setting and fee getting problems come down to. So the first reason is ignorance. And this one really stood out to me, but I'm excited to kind of pick your brain about this. The second reason, self-worth and self-esteem. This is obviously a big problem, right? Value pricing what you're actually worth and the delivery that you have. But reason number 3, this one really stood out to us given, our background too, but no intelligent prospecting and no proactive sales process. So today, everyone, we're talking about the 3 reasons why you're not getting the fees you deserve. And this includes now in a, COVID world, but it also applies to why you might not have been getting your fees in the first place previous to COVID even coming. So David, tell me a little bit more about this and your perspective on what kind of triggered this email and this message that you have that you're getting across the thought leaders about them not getting their fees. Why is this so important to you?
Well, Taylor, so you picked up, first of all, I want to acknowledge and thank you for the impact that this email had on you. I actually send a daily email. So I send a whole bunch of emails, and I always know I'm in trouble when a colleague or a friend or a client says, David, you sent an email this morning that said, and I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. Here it comes.
Here it comes. That's right.
Either it didn't land or it landed, or I'm going to get some hate mail or whatever. So this is an ongoing, recurring rant about high fees. And, I think there's a couple of different things going on. There is a scarcity mindset in just not even the expert industry, but in entrepreneurship in general. I just want to make a living. I just want to be comfortable. I'm not in it for the money. Anytime that someone says I'm not in it for the money, I say, listen, it's not all about the money. We want to have an impact. We want to have clients who love us, who have dramatic results, who have amazing improvements, who are doing, way better with you than they ever would without you. All of that is true. But without the money, you don't get to do the work that you're here to do. So when people sometimes, even clients will sometimes say to me, David, you're so focused on the money. With you, it's all about the money. I said, you know what? Honestly, it is not all about the money, but without the money, it's nothing. Without the money, it's nothing. So for us to do what we do, we need to get high fees. And my positioning and a lot of my programs are called high fee this and high fee that. And I'm all about getting well paid for delivering massive, massive value and incredible, amazing results for every client and every audience that you're ever in front of. So that's why it's an ongoing, recurring theme. And I'm really glad that this one email just sort of landed, Taylor, and you said, well, let's talk about this. The first reason that I think people wrong charge and undercharge is they simply have never done their homework. And one of the first things that I always recommend, and this is in my webinars, and I teach clients this, and we do this in our free videos, and we talk about this all the time, is that you need to do a competitive scan in your landscape. So as a speaker, as a consultant, as a coach, as a workshop leader, seminar trainer, if you don't know what the quote unquote going rate is, and you don't know, imagine shopping for a car and you don't know the difference between a Volkswagen, a Toyota, a Lexus, a BMW, and a Ferrari. You just say, well, cars are cars. So I'm a car. Should it be 10 grand? Should it be 200 grand? I don't know. And this actually brings me to a client story. I had a client, this is probably, 10 years ago. And she was very, very confused. She was somewhat successful, but never consistently. She said, David, here's my problem. I've charged $1,500. I've charged $15,000. At this point, I honestly don't know. You tell me. Now imagine any speaker, imagine any professional of any kind, imagine a dentist, imagine a lawyer, imagine a doctor saying, Taylor, we're going to do a root canal. Could be 1,500, could be 15,000. I don't know, buddy. You tell me.
I'm going to take a swing at that.
What do you feel like paying for the root canal today? No one knows. Okay, root canals typically $3,500 from Dr. A, $3,000 from Dr. B, $4,200 from Dr. C. It's somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. No one's charging 100 grand for a root canal, and no one's charging 250 bucks. Do you know the going rate for a root canal? Most dentists would be like, yeah, sure I do, because I studied the market. You go to most of our clients who are consultants and experts and speakers and trainers, I really have no idea. Is $1,500 a lot of money? Is it 500? Should it be 700? Should I ask what their budget is? So here's the first value bomb. Never let your fee be dependent on their budget. Not only is that ignorant, that is professional malpractice and is financial suicide. So that's crazy talk. That's ignorance. We can talk more about that. Let me get a breath in.
Sure.
So go ahead. What else can I answer about ignorance? I could go on for days about each of these.
We could tell. We could definitely tell. I do have one question. That when you said ignorance and when you wrote it in your email, one thing that came to mind for me was like the phrase ignorance is bliss, right? And why is it that we seek ignorance? Like, why do you think people are so, they don't feel comfortable doing the competitive research? Like sometimes when we've told our clients, hey, you need to do some competitive analysis, it's going to give you conviction in your pricing range. It's going to give you a ballpark of how to actually sell, and then where they provide value. And then you're going to know whether or not you provide more value, so you can kind of direct your fee. But they're always apprehensive to start, like almost as if it's intimidating and they're going to discover something they didn't want to discover. Have you been able to pinpoint why there's an apprehension to doing competitive analysis and why it's not a natural thing for us as experts, trainers, facilitators to do?
So it's so funny. It's a really, really great question. I find that when people come back from this activity, when I say, hey, go do a competitive scan, one of two things happens, and sometimes both happen to the same exact person. Thing number one is they get depressed because there's always somebody better and there's always somebody cheaper. So it's like, Taylor, I found this guy. He's written 17 leadership books. I've only written one leadership book. Someone has 3 PhDs. Someone already has like 50 online courses, and they're so far ahead of me. And then, oh my gosh, I found a $97 course on Udemy, and this is very comprehensive. It's like 19 hours of content, and they're giving that away for 97 bucks. How can I charge $5,000 for a keynote? That's only an hour. So that's experience number one.
Yep.
And by the way, for the folks listening, there's always somebody better. And there's always somebody cheaper, and just get over it.
That's
because
right.
Then category two,
True.
Right? Because category two is the flip side of the coin. They say, I went to this guy's website. He's got one self-published book. I bought the book on Amazon. It's a really crappy book. I saw his website. I watched his videos. He's not that great. I'm going on these various other websites and these bureau websites. I see his fee is like 10 grand and up. And here I am. I know I'm better than this guy. Who's this guy to be charging 10 grand? And, here I am charging 2,500 or make up the number, right? I'm immediately going to start charging 7,500 or 10 grand to match this guy who doesn't know his head from a hole in the wall. So you will find people miles ahead of you, and you will find people who are miles ahead of you on the marketing and the sales and the pricing and the positioning, and you will quickly see there ain't no there. It's like it's a lot of smoke, a lot of mirrors, a shiny website, and the expertise is few and far between. So what I've never seen is a really good, really workmanlike expert saying, wow, my material is garbage. My material is crap. I really don't know how to help people. I have no idea what my value is. No one ever says that. I said, well, go back to your client success stories. Go back to all the thank you emails, the thank you cards. Like you said about getting in touch with your value, right? Look at your own LinkedIn recommendations. Start to read your own press clippings. And one of the things that we do to help reset their mindset is to get them back in touch with their own awesomeness.
Yep.
And then we say, why are you charging less than this other person who doesn't have the credibility, doesn't have the client results, doesn't have the experience, doesn't have the expertise, doesn't have the chops that you have? And immediately we've seen people double and triple their fee, and they say, I feel so much better now, because they know that there's always the bigger, better, and cheaper, but there's also the folks that are selling at a much higher level that don't deliver the goods. So we want to be the high fee experts who deliver the goods and are the real deal.
That makes total sense to me too. And I think that applies to the person who's selling their keynotes as well as the buyer. Because something that we've seen that's really unfortunate is by people not having the confidence in the value that they provide, and by undercharging themselves, the buyer ends up picking somebody who charges more because they're charging more, because it's extra value. And so like the confidence not only is, if you don't have the confidence, it's not only holding you back from getting booked at the fees that you deserve, but also just getting booked in general, because you'll get passed up for somebody who may seem to provide more value just based on the higher fee. I don't know if you've noticed that. You
guys see this with your clients. Yeah. I see it with my clients. This is people listening are like, no, Austin's full of crap. That's right.
These guys.
I'll never lose a gig because I'm too cheap. My friends, you will lose gigs because you're too cheap. So here's the poster. Here's the bumper sticker to put up in your office. That's right. Right now, you're listening to Technically Speaking, and we're giving you wall art. Here's the sign in your office. I'm worth more because I charge more, and I charge more because I'm worth more. Now, you have to listen to both halves of that equation, right? I'm worth more because I charge more, and I charge more because I'm worth more.
That's right.
Most people have no problem believing that second one. They have a real hard time getting their head around the first one. But it is true 101 times out of 100 that you are worth more because you charge more. And of course, we know that we charge more because we're worth more than that person who's got, the empty website, the flashy videos, the lack of substance, the lack of real expertise and experience that you have, but you simply haven't stepped up your marketing and sales game where you've got the confidence to claim it.
Definitely.
We talk about mindset, and I think it gets downplayed sometimes with selling, but what I find fascinating is at the root of all of the problems when you talk to professionals, particularly thought leaders, when they are not used to wearing a sales hat, it is not something, and it ultimately lands in the court of, it is about their mindset. It's about their mindset about themselves, their perceived value, and with that lack of conviction, that really can impact every conversation, every email, every response, every money conversation. When you get into that crunch time where it's time for you to sort of be able to hold your own in a conversation, if you don't have that mentality that you're describing, you're going to find out that real quick, it's frustrating for you and you feel like you're always at a bit of a disadvantage, but it ultimately is something that it's under their direct control. It's under our direct control to be able to work with that mindset and effectively change it and shift it.
Absolutely true. And here's the flip side of that also, Max, is that we can give people every CRM, every script, every outreach template, everything on LinkedIn. I mean, you guys do this, right? We build campaigns for these folks and we say, here's the marketing machine that will bring you premium clients and premium fees and keynotes and virtual trainings and seminars and webinars and remote training. Great. You know, I really don't believe I'm worth the fee. As soon as they say that, if that's really what's going on, no script, no template, no sales training, no CRM, no technology is going to save your butt if your mindset isn't tuned in the right direction.
Exactly right.
Totally agree.
We learned like really early on. Actually, I learned really early on when I got into the speaking industry. I was actually doing digital marketing for professional speakers, thought leaders, and so on. So you generate leads as a marketer should, and then they couldn't close the leads. And as a marketer, I'm like, okay, well, you need a CRM, so let's get that in place. And you get the CRM in place, you're still not closing leads. What's the problem here? And it always boiled down to the mindset, right? The way that they conceptualize their value, their self-esteem. And I think a lot of this, like we went from ignorance in this conversation right into your second point, David, about, you know, having solid self-esteem when it comes to selling. Like if you don't have that, if you can't speak with conviction, you can't carry that, like you said, Max, through the money conversation, through your outreach. And it makes step number 3 a whole lot harder because I can't imagine. Can you imagine, David, getting in front of your CRM and knocking down all your sales calls and not believing in yourself of the value you provide those people? And then feeling like
sucks the life out of you.
Yeah, it sucks the life out of you. So how do you even prospect or sell when you don't have the conviction of your value first?
Well, let's talk, like to go quick half step back because I want to draw a distinction between self-worth and self-esteem. So self-esteem is what we have every morning in the shower when we're singing. We're singing in the shower. Self-esteem is simply how you consider yourself in terms of yourself. Yeah. So number 1, you're a great singer. Number 2, you look fantastic naked. No matter what kind of body shape, no matter what you got going on. I mean, I'm 30 pounds overweight. I look in the mirror, I go, yeah, boy, you got it going on. I mean, I look fantastic. I'm singing in the shower. Most of us, unless we have some psychological disorder, the self-esteem is not a problem. We like ourselves. We like ourselves just fine. Self-worth is a whole different ballgame. Self-worth is how you see yourself in the context of the marketplace. So our self-esteem, it's like, I'm great. I do great work for my clients. They love my training. They love my keynotes. They love my seminars. I get beautiful evaluations. I get plaques and awards, and I've got my CSP, and I'm wonderful. Great. Self-esteem, A+. Self-worth, oh my God, I'm just another speaker. I'm bothering them. They're not hiring. We're in the middle of COVID crazy town. You know, I haven't updated my keynote in 2 years. It's not really relevant to what they're going through
reel,
right now.
my one sheet.
I'm no good. I'm a nice to have. I'm not a have to have. I hope they have money. Let me give an unasked for discount. All this crazy self-talk, right? That is the self-worth problem that we have. Self-esteem needs to match the self-worth. If you're awesome sitting in the shower singing opera, you're going to be awesome on the phone. You're going to be awesome on your emails. You're going to be awesome on your LinkedIn outreach. We need to get congruence between who we know we are and the value that we know we deliver and these sales conversations like we just talked about with Max.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you made that distinction. And I think that, like, as you were saying that, one of the things that stood out to me is like there's almost this difference between how we talk to ourselves in those two different areas, because self-esteem can oftentimes be gotten to logically, you know, like I do really great work for my clients. People tell me that I'm doing a good job. I have the plaque on the wall. And so we can reason with ourselves that we are awesome, you know, but with the self-worth side of it, it seems like that is more prone to the emotional attack where because we're not getting validated. And part of this is the ignorance component. Like you said, David, if you don't have the knowledge to help move past that emotional reaction that we get sometimes, the emotions can totally demolish the self-esteem too when you're having the conversations with people. And like, it seems like yeah, you got to sort of find a way to get yourself to your self-worth logically. And something that came up for me, I know, is documenting stuff, like writing down exactly what I'm charging and why I'm charging and the components that make up that fee. And like, if I can get to a place where I'm logically explaining to myself why I'm worth what I'm worth, then it takes that emotional component out. I don't know if you see that too, David, but that's something that
Oh
came
my
to mind while
gosh,
you were saying it.
absolutely. Well, and I think, Austin, one of the beauties of speaker flow is that it's really the science of selling expertise. It's not about how you feel that day. It's not about, I woke up and, I'm not really feeling like a $7,000 speaker today. It's like, listen, dude, the emails are going out, the follow-ups are happening, you get on the phone, you do your outreach, you have the conversations, you add value to clients, you invite more people to a conversation, how you can help them. So and this is about consistency. Right. Because I think most successful speakers and experts, they have a great week or a great month or even a great quarter, and then we fall off the wagon. Because they don't have the structure, we don't have the consistency, we don't have the activity level that supports having enough of these high quality conversations with the right kinds of people, with the right kind of mindset, using the right kind of tools and scripting and sales approach. So when you hit all of those marks, you're going to have a great month. And people go, wow, I made 20 grand this month. I made 30 grand this month. This is totally awesome. And then because of the human element, oh, I forgot to follow up with that person. Oh, I was going to send so-and-so a bomb video email. Yeah, where's that person's email address again? And I know that I have business cards from that other thing that they wanted to follow up from January. And then people wonder, well, how come I have inconsistent sales months? Because inconsistent activity or random activity leads to random results. And so what I love about what you guys do is that you put discipline and science and consistency behind that. Really, all the expert needs to bring is the mindset. Mindset plus systems plus consistency, that's the breakthrough.
Oh, man, that is such a golden
nugget.
And
there's your commercial.
There's the commercial.
There it is.
That part out. There's your commercial.
Everyone listening,
people.
Everyone listening, that's the whole reason why we brought David in, is just for that moment right there.
For sure.
No, it's true. The thing that I think people miss too is that with the lack of the process and systems and consistency there, you can't get data. And if you can't get data, then you can never know for sure. Yeah. Taylor, I don't know if you want to elaborate on the feedback loop component, but if you don't have the numbers telling you whether or not something is working, you have no right to say that I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Like it goes way beyond what your gut is telling you, and it needs to be backed up by something that can guarantee that you're doing the right things or doing the wrong things and need to improve them. You can't know unless you have the data.
Yeah. It's like what you were saying earlier, basically we need a feedback loop to basically go from the emotional thing that we're feeling to being logically verified so that we can overcome our emotions of what we were feeling in the first place. So when we have the numbers telling us what we need to see and we have a system and we have our activities up, we can be validated and say, wow, I had a $30,000 month because of X, Y, and Z, not just because, wow, I had a $30,000 month. Where did that come from? I mean, those are way different mindsets. And when you can say, well, I had a $30,000 month because I prospected 50 new leads and I followed up every single time and I didn't let any task fall through the cracks. And then you can do that next month and then next month and then next month. And that's when you can get the predictability into the business, which then you can, because once you can make money, you teach somebody else to make money, and you can elevate yourself into the place that you want to be as a thought leader.
Absolutely. Can I give you my secret formula for prospecting success?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please. And this is, I know that we're working on this behind the scenes. It's a very secret Skunk Works project. It's called the David Newman edition of Speaker Flow. It's coming to a screen near you.
Stay tuned.
I'm just kidding. But you never know. You never know. Here's the math. And I want to see it because you guys are, again, you're the data scientists behind this methodology. I call it 25-10-4-1. 25 outreaches leads to 10 conversations of some kind. A conversation could be drop dead. We don't use speakers. A conversation could be we're all set through 2023. But some kind of conversation, some kind of response. So 25 outreaches, 10 conversations, surface 4 opportunities. Out of the 4 opportunities, if you know what you're doing, and you're systematized and you're consistent, let's say you have a 25% closing ratio, which is good, not fantastic, but good, you will get one client.
One client.
So when I say, okay, guys, here's the deal. It's 25, 10, 4, 1. 25 door opening initial conversations per week, right? So it's 5 a day. It's not a lot. We're not doing 100 cold calls like crazy people. 25 intelligent prospecting outreaches results in 10 conversations with economic buyers of some kind, surface 4 potential opportunities, close 1. And let's say your fee is $7,500. So now we've got a $7,500 sale each week for 4 weeks. 4 weeks makes up a month. 4 times 7,500, there's your $30,000. So when people listening go, $30,000 a month, are you crazy? What am I, a drug dealer? What am I?
Absolutely not.
You guys have clients that are at this level. You guys have clients that are past this level.
We've
I have
grown to that
clients that are past this level.
Yeah, for sure.
This is doable, but you got to bring the data. You got to bring the consistency. You have to bring the sales and marketing rigor and process to it, because it ain't going to happen by accident.
That's right.
I don't know anyone who's above the 20K per month level who's just kind of helter-skelter, let's see what comes in this month. They are very proactive. They are very systematic, and they use systems and tools like SpeakerFlow does.
Yeah, definitely. It's a thing that we noticed, right out of the gates, even, conversations with other 7-figure speakers in the $1 Million Club, it all boiled down to systems and having a feedback loop and knowing what you're worth, and everything we've been talking about here today to actually command those fees and get in consistently. And everything you said about 25, 10, 4, 1, we call those the law of averages. And knowing the law of averages, when you make a dial, you pick up the phone and you call person number 24 and you didn't get it again, but you call person 25 and it went well, and they're like, oh, perfect timing. We're actually planning an event right now, and I haven't even found anybody. I don't even know where to find somebody. So this is great. Can we have a further conversation? Knowing that you're 25, 10, 4, 1, it helps you, cross-check when you're feeling the emotional drain that might come up by reaching out to people and getting a bunch of no's. And so it kind of gives you a system to say, no, I'm on the right path. And if I make these 25 outreaches, chances are I'm going to get to that one deal, and it keeps our activity feed.
Right.
Activity up.
Let me also just throw one more thing out there, because I think people look at the speaking business as just speaking. And one of my mantras and one of my beliefs, and I've been teaching this and preaching this for 10 plus years, professional speaker is a skill set. It is not a job description. So right now,
hallelujah.
Amen, right? It's like, oh my gosh.
Amen.
Yes.
That's so juicy. We're going to drop it on people again. Professional speaker is a skill set, is not a job description. So think about all the different distribution methods for your expertise, whether that's training, coaching, consulting, facilitation, online courses, CEO roundtables, board retreats. Speaking can be the driver of your business. And one of the things we talk about is having a speaking driven business.
That's right.
But then everyone in the $1 Million Speakers group has an enterprise-based business around their speaking expertise. What does that mean? That means they're not on the gig-to-gig hamster wheel. Of course, they speak, they do videos, they do virtual training, they do webinars, they do distance learning, they do licensing, they do sponsorship, they have an army of trainers, an army of coaches that they put out under their banner. But speaking is a driver, and it's the rocket fuel to your business. It is not the rocket, right? It's the rocket fuel. It's not the rocket. And there's too many folks out there that are kind of a one-trick pony, always looking for the next gig, and they have no long-term revenue generation plan above and beyond speaking. And I think for the folks that have that model, it's very vulnerable. It was vulnerable at 9/11, 19 years ago. It's vulnerable in 2008, 2009 during the financial meltdown. And it's certainly been really vulnerable in the last 8 months since COVID. We never want to be dependent on live events.
Nope.
Live events can be a wonderful driver of your business, but there needs to be other sources of sales and marketing and outreach and lead generation and door opening conversations with buyers that if we're not able to do live events for the next year or two, you should still be making your 30K a month. And you're making that with virtual, you're making that with training, you're making that with licensing, you're making that with coaching and consulting. lots and lots of ways to monetize your expertise. So please remember, professional speaker is a skill set, and you have that skill set. It is not a self-limiting job description.
That's right.
Oh, that is so good. It's too one of those things, we're just speaking about it from the business case right now too, but if you want to approach it from your value side of it, go back to the self-esteem, the self-worth conversation. People deserve to hear from you. It's why you're a thought leader. That's why you felt convicted enough to stand on stage in front of people, which, by the way, people fear more than death. So let's not forget that was a big leap to take to stand up on stages and preach. But like, you do that because you want to impact people. And if you aren't willing to expand the way that you reach out to people and write that book and create the online course and do the training and coaching and license your IP out for companies to use on their own, then you're missing out on opportunity for people to take advantage of your expertise and thus detracting from the ability that your brand has to grow and expand. So like, it's not even just the business sense. People deserve to hear from you and be impacted by what you have to say. So don't limit their ability to get that information from you.
Austin, I could not agree more. Amen times 10.
Yeah.
The other thing we say all the time too, sorry, Max, I just gotta get this one out.
No, go, man.
But like, speaking is David, as a marketing professional, what other channel do we have where we can get paid 5 figures to market to our ideal audience? What channel do you get paid to market to your people on?
This one is it.
This is it. This is the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you treat speaking as rocket fuel, your marketing mechanism to fuel the rest of your business, your business changes forever at that point in time. So I just wanted to add that in. If you just shift the mindset around speaking from being the main driver to the marketing vehicle, I feel like everything, takes a shift.
For sure.
Totally. I think that it's a much more fulfilling role as an expert to recognize that you're limiting yourself. If your view of yourself is low and your view of the money is low and your view of the opportunity is low, because all of what we've covered in the last few minutes has been think bigger, think larger. There's more there that you can bring. There are different ways you can communicate your expertise. There are dozens of ways that you could creatively show up for somebody in an organization with a project, with an initiative that can really move the needle for them. So think bigger like that. I keep hearing that as we're talking through this, is there's a lot more here that you can build and do and show up in terms of value creation. And if you start to think of it that way, then there's a lot more money and opportunity to be had as well. So yeah, just all good things. I love the way we're looking at this, because I think this is where you can find juice and fulfillment as an expert versus frustration and grind.
Totally. And Max, one more thing about that. I think people right now need to know that some corporations have more money to spend right now, not less. There's this myth out there that, corporations are broke and everyone's they're all doing layoffs and everyone's getting pay cuts and everything is horrible. They are saving tens of millions of dollars. Every corporate travel budget has gone down to zero. Every corporate events and incentive travel budget has gone down to zero. I could name another half dozen things: R&D, research, travel, consulting, whatever. These programs are being cut left and right. The money, however, is being reallocated to solve problems. So if we're problem solvers, the mantra is solve bigger problems, get bigger checks. Companies have now reallocated all this money that they used to spend on corporate travel, airlines, hotel, food, Salesforce going out, Salesforce going to Hawaii for the team meeting. None of that's happening anymore. One of those meetings could be a 7-figure meeting. So if your fee is less than $1 million and you can take the place of that incentive travel trip to Hawaii for their 300 top sales reps, and that's just one example out of a 365-day corporate year of all the money that they're not spending on some things because of the new situation, there is money in motion. Anytime there's money in motion, problem solvers and experts can swoop in and pick up some of that money, because the mantra is solve bigger problems, get bigger checks. So don't buy into this mindset that, all these corporations are claiming poverty. They're all in terrible shape. They all have horrible layoffs. They're all afraid to spend money. Not true, not true, not true.
Wow.
We've
Value
100%
bomb
seen that.
number 1 billion at this point. My goodness. Wow.
This has happened one other time too, and this is the last thing that I'll say on this note, but if you guys want to go deeper on that exact topic, you just need to go read The Challenger Sale by Matthew Dixon. This is an entire analysis of why some companies succeeded during the 2008 financial crisis, while others were destroyed. And the common factor was those companies pivoted to solve problems as opposed to just offer goods and services like you would on any normal day. And those people survived, and those that didn't did not. So we've seen that played out over the course of history too. This isn't something that's new that's happening just because of COVID in 2020.
And Austin, by the way, that is a great book in and of itself. Everyone should read that book, not only for what you just mentioned, but for the whole sales philosophy of reframing the buyer's problems in ways that they have not thought of before.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's right.
Fantastic read. We'll include the link in the show notes for those of you interested in reading it.
Absolutely. Well, and then on that note, I mean, David, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I mean, we covered everything from, ignorance and self-esteem and self-worth to the actual sales process, the mindset required, how to solve problems and get those high fees. Thank you so much for being here. And, as you know, we're all about creating value. That's why we had you on the show today. What are some things you're working on right now that our listeners can benefit from and we can link to in the show notes?
Sure, absolutely. So a couple of things. One, we have a whole ton of free resources on the website. So doitmarketing.com. We also have a free training that's out there now. It's doitmarketing.com/webinar. And we also have our Do It Marketing Manifesto. No big surprise. doitmarketing.com/manifesto. That's a 37-page PDF with all kinds of sales and marketing and business development, mindset, skill set, and tool set things in there. And we have a podcast, of course, thespeakingshow.com, but really everything is headquartered on the website, all kinds of freebies, downloads, and goodies at doitmarketing.com.
Awesome. Well, David,
Fantastic.
Thank you so much again. It has really been awesome to have you. We will definitely have you on again. And for our listeners, don't forget to subscribe to our show. And if you want more awesome resources like this, go to the show notes, check out David's site, and don't forget about speakerflow.com/resources. Alrighty, and that is episode 2, everybody. Thank you so much for chiming in. I just wanted to take a second to thank our sponsor, Auxbus. Auxbus is the all-in-one suite of tools you need to run your podcast. And it's actually what we run here at SpeakerFlow for Technically Speaking. It makes planning podcasts simple. It makes recording podcasts simple. It even makes publishing podcasts to the masses simple. And quite honestly, Technically Speaking wouldn't be up as soon as it is without Auxbus. Thank you so much, Auxbus. And if you are interested in checking Auxbus out, whether you're starting a podcast or you have one currently, get our special offer, auxbus.com/speakerflow, or click the link below in our show notes.
Thanks for tuning in today. Check the show notes for more info and see you next time. Later.